Hello?
And now, AM650 presents your source for leading-edge news and information on today's hottest products and services. This is Experts on Call on AM650.
Well, hello, and welcome to Experts on Call here on AM 650. I'm Sterling Fox, and this edition of Experts on Call is Recovery Radio, and we're just delighted to welcome back to the program the Executive Director of the Orchard Recovery Center on Bowen Island. Lorinda Strang is back with us. Hello.
Hello, Sterling.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
And also with us on the program from the Orchard is the Director of Communications and Community Relations over there, Anne-Marie McCullough. Hi.
Good morning, Sterling.
Good to see you again, too.
Nice to see you, too.
Now, this is going to be an interesting hour, and we're going to have another guest join us in a little bit to talk about her personal story. But tell us a little bit about, first of all, Lorinda, the Orchard. Tell us what the Orchard is. We know it's on Bowen Island, and this program is called Recovery Radio, so we're already connecting a few dots. Mm-hmm. Help us out.
The Orchard is a drug and alcohol treatment center. It's a private treatment center with 25 clients at a time, and we help people to get their lives back and fill them with hope and get them ready on their journey of recovery.
What is a typical stay? Is there like a formula? If you have 25 people in residence at any given time, typically any individual is there for how many weeks or days?
Typically, our full program is 6 weeks long.
Okay.
And so we try to have clients commit to staying for 6 weeks, but we do have different levels of programming to fit each individual's needs.
Right. And Anne-Marie, I don't imagine recovery from addiction is as cut and dried as 6 weeks and it's all gone. I don't imagine that at all. So help us through not only the 6 week in residence on Bowen Island part, but what goes on after all of that.
Well, absolutely, the 6 weeks is about setting a foundation, and I believe the programming that we do at the Orchard gives people tools of all kinds. You know, they learn about their addiction from a very literal standpoint, what is addiction, and all the different components of it, and then they learn things such as coping mechanisms, like how to deal with cravings and difficult situations, and how to deal with their family afterwards. So they get all those skills, and they're also introduced. We are a 12-step based treatment facility, so they're introduced to the 12 steps while they're there. They complete hopefully all the way through to step 12, sometimes a little bit less, but they go through their steps, and then they're introduced to meetings which happen at the house every night, an AA, an NA, a CA meeting, different panels come in. So they're introduced to those 12 steps very thoroughly, so that when they leave, they're already on the road to knowing how to maintain their sobriety, and that will look like, hopefully for the most part, attending meetings for the rest of their lives.
Right, and that sounds like a tremendous burden to carry, Lorinda, but everyone at the Orchard, I should back up a half step, everyone at the Orchard, all the staff people, including you and Anne-Marie, are people who have been through this personally. So everyone there has been there, done that. So anyone who goes to the Orchard is going to be dealing with a seasoned group that they couldn't fool in several lifetimes, right?
Yes, and not every staff member is actually in their own personal recovery. We have master's degree and PhD counselors that have a very deep understanding of what addiction is, and have maybe gone through other issues in their life, or family members, or they have that level of empathy and compassion that is needed. But a lot of our staff are in recovery, and it does help identify with the person when they're coming in.
Well, this is what recovery is a state. Recovery is something that you actually, you have been clean and sober for a long decades, and yet you still refer to yourself as a recovering person. It's a lifetime of commitment, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's a daily reprieve, and to maintain a level of contented sobriety,
right?
You have to continue to do the work that is needed to withstand any triggers, or to keep you at a level that you're not going to relapse.
And Anne-Marie, and you're in the same situation, not clean and sober for as long as Lorinda, but again in recovery, and it's really a lifelong maintenance program, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the best quote that I've heard about that is recovery is a process, not an event.
Right.
It's not a destination; it's a journey.
So there's no such
ongoing.
thing. You're not cured from addiction ever, are you?
Never.
I would never personally say that I'm cured. I would say that I'm in remission from it is one way to look at it. I don't particularly think about it like that for myself, but that's one way people will take a look at it. But it is definitely something that you need to keep your own house in order. You need to be living a maintained, healthy lifestyle, and recovery is defined by exactly that. It's characterized by sobriety, personal health, and good citizenship.
Right. Now, Recovery Radio is what we're calling this episode of Experts on Call. And this, again, for the second time, and it's so nice to have you back, is about hope. And hope that people who are addicted to drugs and alcohol or other habits, can and do recover. It's all about help is the orchard. That's what that's about. But hope is also a big part of it too, isn't it, Lorinda?
Absolutely. We want people, when they come to the orchard, there's several processes that they go through as being restored to physical health, emotional health, and we want you to feel excited about your ongoing recovery.
Is there such a thing, to both of you, is there such a thing as an addictive personality? Or is that some kind of psychological bafflegab? What do you think, Lorinda?
I think that there is components to your personality that are addictive. Absolutely.
All right. Anne-Marie, what about you?
Yeah, I think that there's certainly been lots of debate about whether this is a genetic disease, whether it's environmental. I think I could say from my own experience, I had addiction in my family. I was predisposed to it. If there is a genetic component, which certain people in the medical community believe, I was certainly genetically predisposed. And then I had it environmentally. I was adopted, so I didn't even live with my birth family, but my father was an active alcoholic, and so I was exposed to it environmentally. So I would say, if there was an addictive personality in me, it was triggered by both the genetic and the environmental pieces of it.
Interesting stuff. Now, according to Wikipedia, that addiction, it says, I've got it written down, did some homework here, Addiction is the continued use of a psychoactive drug or the repetition, rather, of a behavior despite adverse consequences. Does that kind of sum it all up, Lorinda? Does that kind of nail it to the wall pretty carefully?
That's a fairly good description of it. I think that another way to look at it, there's a standard, it's called the 3 C's. It's compulsion, control, and consequences.
Okay.
And so the compulsion is a mental obsession, and control is, you begin to try and control your use, and you can have cravings, and then you lose control.
Right.
And then the consequences can be different things for different people. It can be internal, how you feel personally. That can be enough to be your consequences, and the consequences can be all over the map.
Right. Interesting stuff. So then the whole matter, though, of need, compulsion, one of your 3 C's. People get to a point with a substance, be it alcohol or some form of drug or whatever, where they actually become reliant. I need more of whatever this is, and I absolutely have to have it. That's total addiction, is it not?
Yeah, there's a physical dependence that starts to happen, and the person cannot stop themselves from having that thing because they've built up a physical dependence.
A tolerance.
Right.
And the tolerance being that as you take more and more of it, your body it develops a capacity for it, and therefore you need to take even more. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, there also is different drugs will manifest differently in the symptoms and the behaviors with each individual. So if you're looking at prescription drugs, then you're definitely, you're going to start building up a tolerance, and you're going to need that drug, and when you stop it, you're going to have withdrawal. With alcohol, it can be a little bit different because as you age, in particular for women, you can use the same amount of alcohol, and it's going to have it's going to have a different effect on you. So you don't necessarily have to keep drinking more and more to have adverse reactions.
True.
Yeah, I think with
to
alcohol,
put it nicely.
Yeah, I think with alcohol it kind of peaks, and then your tolerance goes back down.
Right.
And towards the end of your drinking, you can be getting drunk off of one drink instead of where it used to take you 10 drinks. But I think it goes in a continuum.
Is alcohol more of a problem because it's more socially acceptable? I mean, goodness gracious, judges drink, the prime minister drinks, everybody drinks, as so the saying goes. It's very socially acceptable. Drugs are illegal. And while they're certainly alluring, they're not as available as alcohol, one would think. So is alcohol more of a problem, or is it about are they all the same?
It's a little different. I say to people when they're leaving the treatment center, when you get on a plane to go home, the first thing that you're going to be asked is, would you like to have a drink?
That's right, of course.
So
yes.
you need to be prepared. What are you going to say? What are you going to do instead of having that drink? So, I have my little rituals that I do instead of having a drink. So you need to be prepared with alcohol. It is everywhere.
True.
And you're going to have to be around it.
So it would be tougher then
You
in
can
terms of
choose
recovery, wouldn't it? Because it is everywhere.
Yeah.
But our second biggest problem, we talked about this last week, is prescription drugs. And prescription drugs, anybody can go to the doctor and say, I have this pain or whatever.
Right.
And most doctors, unfortunately, don't have the education around addiction to know that, that you shouldn't prescribe someone, especially someone who's in recovery. Like I always tell my doctor, I'm in recovery. Please don't give me any narcotics, anything that could be, create dependence. And so prescription drugs, I think, are they're definitely equal in the treatment center with how many people we see coming in with addictions to them.
And they're legal, too,
and they're
aren't
legal.
They? Yeah.
So,
but also with other drugs, like, Vancouver has a very significant area that you can walk through and drugs are readily available.
Oh, sure.
So I think that...
And not just in the downtown east side, but I have a feeling that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, so, alcohol, you're going to be out for dinner. Would you like a drink? These are our drink specials. So you're surrounded by it constantly.
Right.
So you can avoid going to areas where they're selling crack. But even in Vancouver, just the presence of going into downtown Vancouver can be a trigger for some people.
Sure.
So even though you can probably avoid areas where someone's going to ask you if you would like to have your drug of choice. It is still areas can be a trigger. Movies can be a trigger.
Oh, sure.
There's all sorts of environmental things that can be a trigger for somebody.
That's the location of the orchard, because it really is, it's on Bowen Island. It's not far away, but it really is in a different place,
it's
isn't it?
It's worlds away.
Yeah,
it's worlds away. Taking that ferry across and arriving at an island destination makes you feel like you're leaving something.
You disconnect.
That's
you're
leaving behind some of your troubles, and I think there's something very tranquil about the orchard that's makes you feel like you're very, very far from Vancouver.
Well, this, as I understand it, Lauren, the orchard is a former resort, right?
Yes, it was. It was a.
So it's kind of nice. It's a nice accommodation. It's a nice, welcoming, warm place to go.
Yes, we consider that treatment is a gift to yourself. It's not a punishment. So we are going to. There's rules, obviously, but we're going to treat you. We're welcoming you. We are embracing you, and we are there to help change your life.
How do people find out more about the orchard, Anne-Marie? Do you have a website? Because a lot of people, and you've both been there, a lot of people will spend a lot of time, in years in some cases, in denial. No, I don't have a problem. I don't care what you think. I don't have a problem. But, secretly, they can go on the internet and start doing a little homework, recognizing that if everybody in my life says, you got a problem, maybe, just maybe they're right. So where would they go to find the orchard on the internet?
Orchardrecovery.com.
Okay.
Very straightforward. It's just like it sounds. And our website is very thorough. All the information is there, everything about how to get there, what to bring. You can download the forms if you want to look at actually getting an admission form for yourself or your family member. Pricing is there. All the information about our programs is there. All the information on our staff. We have, like Lorinda was talking about, we have amazing clinicians and world-renowned doctors, addiction specialists that are working for us, and all that information is there and available. And what are some of the signs to look for in addiction are on there. Lots of information about the different drugs and their symptoms. So it's a very thorough and informative website.
Well, we need to take a break, so perhaps a little pop over to the computer during the following couple of minutes, and checking out orchardrecovery.com might be a good way to get yourself a little more up to speed with what the subject of recovery radio is. And when we come back, our guests will remain, and we'll be joined by another person who is, well, shall we say, a graduate of the Orchard. And that's coming right up on AM 650.
There's still more ahead with Experts on Call, the show focused on delivering relevant and beneficial consumer information. This is Experts on Call on AM 650.